Cubbies, it's Mrs. Robinson. Hey, this week is Bear Hug number 11, and we're talking about Jesus being the Good Shepherd. And I was really feeling like I just really miss doing crafts with you guys. That is another thing that I really miss doing in person. So I thought, well, we can't really do it together, but maybe you could try to gather the materials if mom or dad says it's okay. Yeah, just get an adult's permission, and if you could get the materials gathered together, and maybe we could try to do the craft sort of together. You would be doing it where you are, and I'm doing it where I am. So yeah, that was what I was thinking. So here's what I have, and I'm going to show you how to make a little shepherd, and then I'm going to show you how to make little lambs. And there's a lot of different ways that you could do that. And if you don't have the same materials that I have, if you have a different idea and you can gather those materials, that would be great, and we could kind of do this together. So I love to use these little these are cotton balls. So if you have some cotton balls that you are allowed to use, that would be great. So I have cotton balls here, and then I have a pipe cleaner, and I would have liked to have had brown, but I could only find pink. So you can choose the color, I suppose. And if you've done crafts with me before, you know that Mrs. Robinson really likes googly eyes. They just are so much fun. So if you have any googly eyes, that would be great. Sometimes people don't have them hanging around. That's fine. You can use something different for the eyes. But that's what I have here. And then glue stick. Sometimes I use hot glue, but if you have an adult who would help you use hot glue, that would be fine. But a glue stick works fine, or if you have the liquid squeezy glue. And I have craft sticks or popsicle sticks. These are great. If you don't have these, you could try to find sticks outside, would probably work. And then I have a marker, a brown marker. You could use a black marker, and I have these pieces of felt. And if you don't have felt material, then you could use any kind of cloth material that an adult says is okay, or you could use construction paper even, that would probably work. Or I think for this, you could even get some sort of tissue paper for wrapping, or even like toilet paper or paper towels. I think you could get those to work as well. And then I have some construction paper. I have some white and some black construction paper. And I have scissors. I have my scissors. And I think that's pretty much all you'll need. So if you want to ask a grown-up if you can try to find some or all of these materials, or if you have a better idea and come up with your own set of materials and gather them all together, and then we'll come back together. So here we are, Cubbies. I'm here. So we are going to do making a shepherd first, and I have this fabric here. This is just felt material, and I chose just a light color brown, but you could really choose any color. And then I have a little thin strip of the same material, just a darker color. And then I have a craft stick here, and I have a little round wooden piece. But if you have construction paper of this color, or you know, something similar to this color, then you could use that. This is for the head of the shepherd, and really what you could do first, if you have really tiny googly eyes, you could put those on, but my googly eyes, I don't know, I think they're kind of big to put on this little tiny head. So I was thinking I would just draw a little face, and you could just make it simple. So shepherd needs some eyes, right? So he can see his sheep and keep a good eye on them. And he needs a nose, and I think he needs a big smiling mouth. So there's just my little face on my shepherd, okay? And you could get really crafty, and you could try to put material, glue like yarn or something on the top. I didn't have any yarn today. Or you could draw a little hair on him if you wanted to. Or maybe you want to leave him bald. I don't know. You decide. Okay, and then I have my craft stick, and I'm gonna glue the head to the top of the craft stick. And there he goes. I'm just putting his head right on top, and I'm gonna push it down, and he should stick. There he is. And then my fabric, what I'm going to do is put this little hole here. So if you put it, if you fold it in half, get a nice long rectangular piece like this, cut off of a big piece, and you cut it in half. And on the folded side, you probably have to have a grown-up help you with this. I like to do a little half circle, and that's where his head is going to pop through. This is like going to be his little shepherd's tunic. So he's going to pop through like this. And then you want to glue it in place so it stays. Here he is. And you could use pipe cleaners, or you could use another craft stick. You could even have a grown-up kind of even cut the craft stick down smaller so it wasn't quite as big. But I'm just going to make kind of a cross like that. And those are for his arms. And then I glue this fabric down. Oh, he's not sticking. Let me put more glue. Don't be afraid of the glue, kiddos, right? Cubbies. Mrs. Robinson is always saying that. Don't be afraid of the glue. All right, stick him on there. There we go. And he should stick. Here he is. All right, but he's missing his little belt around his tunic. So you take that little thinner fabric piece that you had cut, and you need some glue on there too. And maybe the liquid glue would work a little bit better for the fabric. Whatever's less frustrating for you guys. Sometimes liquid glue is really frustrating because it doesn't come out of the bottle very well. But you know, you can also have a grown-up water it down a little bit in a little cup or a dish, and use a paintbrush for liquid glue. I've done that before, and that seems to work really well. It's a little less frustrating for kiddos if they have a hard time squeezing the liquid glue out of the bottle. So grown-ups, if you want to do that, you can get a little dish and a little water and thin the glue down and use a paintbrush, and then they can paint it on. So anyway, okay, there's our little shepherd. He's a fun puppet, right? And he's missing something. If you guys remember about shepherds, we did talk a lot about shepherds last year in Awana, but if you weren't there, you don't remember, shepherds need a really important tool, right? They need a shepherd's staff or a shepherd's hook, and that's to help with the sheep, right? Pull a sheep back from a dangerous place, right? So here is our little shepherd's hook, and all I did was I took a pipe cleaner and I bent it a little bit on the top so that it made like a little hook here. And you could actually glue the shepherd's hook right to the shepherd's arm here. Now I have found that to do that, the hot glue gun really does work best with pipe cleaners. Pipe cleaners are one of those difficult to glue with glue sticks. The liquid glue works well, but I would suggest to do the paintbrush trick, or you could use, you know, tape if you can't get glue to work. But I will say, yes, the hot glue gun definitely works better. So if a grown-up has a hot glue gun and is willing to help you out with that, that would be great. But I have my little shepherd puppet. Now yours could look even cuter than mine, because you could add yarn for the hair, which looks really fun, or you could add different designs or whatever you wanted to, Cubbies. But here he is, and we're going to talk in the story today. We're going to talk about shepherds and what their jobs are, and also how Jesus is the good shepherd. All right, Cubbies, here we go. We're going to make some sheep. right? So if you have construction paper or cardstock, you can cut it kind of in this lumpy sort of form, sort of like a sheep body shape. And the first thing that you'll want to do is take that and some little sticks, I don't know if you can see, yeah, little sticks of black or brown construction paper, little rectangular pieces, and those are going to be the legs. Remember, sheep have, how many legs do they have, Cubbies? Yeah, they have 4 legs, right? So each sheep has to have 4 legs. So you could just glue the little legs on the back side of your sheep figure from the construction paper that you did. And yeah, then I'll hold him up so you can see. So there is your sheep, sort of your sheep body and his 4 little legs. And then the next part that you'll want to do is his little eyes. Now this is where you get to use the googly eyes if you have them, okay? So I have 2 googly eyes, and you can use the glue stick or you can use the liquid glue for these, and put his 2 little eyeballs on his head. Now you could either choose, if you wanted to, you could put his 2 eyeballs on the front like I'm doing, like he's sort of turning and looking at you. Or you could choose to do, you know, think of his head this way and have 1 eye on this side and 1 eye on this side. That would be up to you and how you might be thinking of using this. Now, if you're using it as a puppet or something to hang from a string from the ceiling, you might want to consider doing it that way, actually. But if you want to glue this when you're done with it to like another piece of paper as a picture or something, then you might want to just do it flat like this. Hold on, buddy, I'm doing a craft. You want to say hi to the Cubbies?
Hi!
They can't see you. You have to duck way down. Down. There you go.
Hi!
So you can then pull the little cotton ball pieces apart, and just like I'm doing here, and you can glue the construction paper there all around, and we don't want to go over the sheep's eyeballs, but just kind of around. Get it all gluey, and then you can stick down your cotton ball. And if you need to use 2, or if you want to do a gigantic sheep or a little teeny tiny sheep, you know, Cubbies, you are very creative, so you go ahead and do it, you know, how you want to. And let's see. Now, don't be afraid if you have a purple glue stick like I do. Don't be afraid of it, because when it dries, it shouldn't dry purple. It should, if you have the same kind I do, it should turn clear when it dries. So don't worry about that. All right, so here's my little sheepy. Now, if you want to, you can draw a little nose on him, right? And you could draw a little smiling face. That always makes him look nice. Just like that. Let's see, can you see his smiling face? There he is. There's the smiling face. And then you can, if you want to use him as a puppet, you can glue a stick, a craft stick, behind him, and then you can use him as a little puppet. Or you could have a grown-up punch a hole here and hang it from a string, and you could hang it somewhere in your house if that's okay with your grown-up. And that's kind of fun. And if you do it that way, or even as the puppet even, you might want to do the back. You could cover the back with the cotton ball and also put an eyeball on this side of it, so it's like both sides of his head, you know. And but you could also use them on another picture. You know, you could glue him down to another piece of paper and add a scene around him, like a pasture and a shepherd and other sheep. That's up to you. Another thing that you could do, Cubbies, is if you have a grown-up who's willing to go online for you and find pictures of sheep that are free to download and print out, you could do that, and there's all sorts of different ones, and either print them out on regular paper or cardstock, and then just glue them to a craft stick, and you can use those as puppets. Another option, kiddos, is that you can use actually this felt fabric that I have. If you have a white felt kind of fabric, then you could cut out the shape of a sheep. You could even get a grown-up to either make a tracer for you, or you could download one from online, and you could just trace out the shape of a sheep and cut it out, and then you could back it with some hard cardstock like I used here, and that would be a nice fuzzy sheep for you, and you could put the googly eyes on it and use the craft stick for that as well. So couple different ideas there for you, kiddos. And if you think of another great idea for how to make a sheep, I would love to see it. So if you want to make your own sheep, just like I did, or if you want to do a different kind of one, and a shepherd too, like I made, I would love to see them. So if you want to send me a picture, or if you want to show me when we Zoom later on this week, I would love to see your sheep and your shepherd, Cubbies. It was so much fun. I had so much fun. I hope that you guys were able to make the craft with me, or if not with me, maybe later on, and I hope that you have fun. And don't forget, we're learning about Jesus being the Good Shepherd this time, this week, for Bear Hug number 11, and our Bible verse is John 10:27. So it's John 10:27, and it goes like this: "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them." All right, so we'll talk more about that in a bit. When Jesus lived on earth, people didn't know that he's God's son and that he loved them very much. To help them understand, Jesus told them that he is like a good shepherd. But in order to understand that, Cubbies, you have to know what a good shepherd does. Do you know what a shepherd does? Do you remember? A shepherd would get up really early each day and go to the sheep pen where the sheep would stay overnight, and he called the names of the sheep that belonged to him, and they would come out to follow him. His sheep listened because he was their shepherd, and they knew the sound of his voice. They wouldn't follow anyone else except their shepherd. Wow, that's really cool, Cubbies. So let's see if we could name those sheep. Bobby, Susie, and Joe. So the shepherd, he would go to the pen and he would call them by name. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Susie. Hey, Joe. Come with me. It's time to go out to pasture. And they would listen, and they would hear his voice, and they would recognize his voice. They would know that that was their shepherd who was calling to them. And if it was anybody else, they wouldn't follow. Then the shepherd would lead the sheep to a green pasture where they could eat grass and rest and play. Those are the things that the sheep need. They need a big open place to play and a comfortable place to rest, and they need lots of green grass to eat. The shepherd watched over the sheep to make sure there was nothing that would hurt his sheep. He wouldn't want any, wild animals coming to hurt his sheep. He wouldn't want any of his sheep to be lost. The shepherd also led the sheep to good, clean water. They needed to drink, right? All the sheep would need water. He would make sure that even the smallest little lamb had fresh, cool water to drink. So even though the little guy in the back here in our scene is the tiny little one, the shepherd makes sure that even the smallest one got grass and water to drink and stayed safe. After a long day in the pasture, the shepherd, he would lead the sheep back home to their pen. The shepherd would count the sheep as they went back into the pen and make sure no sheep was missing. So if he took 3 sheep out to the pasture, he'd make sure, he would count and make sure that he was bringing 3 sheep back into the pen at night. Or if he had 300 sheep, he would make sure that he had 300 sheep bringing back to the pen at night. Well, Jesus said that he is the good shepherd. Remember, boys and girls? Those who followed him and believed that he is God's son were his sheep. So now they were not really sheep, you understand. They didn't have white woolly coats and 4 hooves, but just like sheep follow and obey their shepherd, the people who followed Jesus and obeyed him were like his sheep. So remember our Bible verse, John 10:27. My sheep listen to my voice, I know them. John 10:27. Jesus, the good shepherd, wants all people to be his sheep. Now that doesn't mean that he wants us to be like these furry little critters. He doesn't want us to have these 4 legs and white woolly fur or wool, but he wants us to be his sheep. So in order for us to be his sheep, we must belong to him, just like these sheep belong to that shepherd. We belong to the good shepherd when we trust Jesus as our Savior. That means we each believe that Jesus is God's son and that he died on the cross for our sins, because we all know we all have a sin problem, and then he came alive again, right? He won over death. He didn't stay dead. And when you trust Jesus as your Savior, then you belong to him, just like one of his sheep. So Jesus, the good shepherd, loves you very much. He knows your name and every single thing about you. He takes care of you, just like the shepherd takes care of his sheep. Just like sheep follow their shepherd, we can follow our good shepherd by listening to his words in the Bible, obeying him, and making good choices. Cubbies, if you have any questions about our lesson today, about Jesus being our good shepherd and how he wants us to be like his sheep, if you have any questions about that, you can ask your grown-up that you live with, or you can get a hold of me, and I would love to talk to you about it, or you could get a hold of one of the pastors. If you have any questions about that, we want to know. All right, Cubbies, I hope that you had lots of fun making your sheep. I had lots of fun making mine, and I hope you had a good time making your shepherd, and I hope that maybe you've had some good conversations with the adults, or even brothers and sisters in the house about Jesus and how he is our good shepherd. I hope that you'll work on our John 10:27 Bible verse, and I hope to see you on Zoom a little later this week, and I hope you have a great end of your week. I hope right now I am watching the snow coming down, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the snow. Well, I love you, Cubbies. Bye-bye.